My name is Harry, and I'm from London.
Meghan Markle here.
Today is November 8th, 2024. It is 1:36 a.m. I just did, I'll say, 2.5 videos. The first video is on pure YTE and output of pure service, because the last tweet is regarding Invictus. I decided I will be putting it on output of pure service. That's why I have 2.5 videos. And then the last video that I just did, video number 2, was over here. It was very short. I believe the recording said 17 minutes. It has to do with I repeat one of the tweets that I shared on pure YTE, which has to do with now after the election, some people, the people who voted for Trump, are starting to understand what tariff is, because their employers are telling them that there will be no bonuses for Christmas. Okay, so it started already. And the last video that I just shared is regarding Governor of California, who's preparing its legislative to buckle up to prevent Trump from ruin, there's the whatever the things that they have here and on the screen. All right, so let me not focus too much on that. Let's go here. Let's look at the background. 4,445 subscribers. I don't think there's any new subscribers. If there are, welcome. $112.77. Please help support this channel by donating to PayPal or Cash App. The links are in the description. Or you could become a member. I don't know if the membership is even working here, because they're suppressing the channel. All right, so let's look at analytics. Okay, 401 views in the last 48 hours. All right, so that's that. I don't know why this is bubbling up, because 229 views. Yeah, that's how much they're suppressing. This is supposed to be like a record-breaking kind of thing. All right, so I will be sharing with you 9 tweets. Okay, it has to do with I think William Earthshot thing. All right, so some of them I don't remember what I put on the list. So let's just get started. Okay, so what is this? Probably about the election. Absolutely. Bad day, he said. Yeah, we won them. We won them. Okay, absolutely. Revolute on your own. I don't even need to go to the comment. Like I was saying in my other videos, I should have put it too. But anyway, forget that. Okay, let's move on. I think I have another one. What is this about? I forgot all of them. Okay, so we're getting started with the Earthshot thing or something. I don't know. I forgot what this is about. I put it a while. Actually, it was this morning. Oh, it's a thread. I didn't even know it was a thread. Okay, so let's listen. Probably has to do with the Charles and whatever they did. That documentary about how Charles get their money and stuff like that. Okay, so let's listen. I didn't even know it was a thread that long. Okay, the media show on Channel 4 Dispatches, watched by over 13 million on several platforms, but ignored by the UK media. Like I said, the UK is very masterful at psychology. And this is the exact same thing we will be seeing in the US. When things that really important, people should know so they could make proper decision, guess what? They will not air it. And we already see some of those media people aligning in that kind of way. All right. The UK sent its warning shot over here with Bojo's sister, want entertainment. What did Trump do during the campaign? Entertain the people. That's it. He didn't talk about his policies. But to serious issues, what Kamala was talking about when he finally talked to the media, that's when they get serious. Oh, what about this? What about when they're talking to Trump? None of the things that he will be doing were mentioned. They cut all of that out. So this is a blueprint from the UK. I've said this. All right, but let's continue. Who are quick to run with a royal story, but as we know, it's not about the Sussexes, so it was ignored. All right, so apparently this is a thread, so let's listen. 1 minute and 47 seconds.
Into the secret wealth of the royals, including business practices it alleged are inconsistent with their public statements with their public statements on issues like the environment. Today, of course, Prince William is in Cape Town, South Africa, presenting the Earthshot Prize, which he launched in 2020 to fix humanity's biggest climate problems. Well, let's start with Alistair Jackson, who oversees investigations at Channel 4, including this one. And Alistair, just lay it out for us. Why did you set out to make this Dispatches programme?
Yeah, well, hi, Katie. I mean, this started some months ago when a producer that's well known to us, Jeff Atkinson from Vera, came in with saying he'd got 5,000 odd documents from the land registry. Now, I can't say that our heart raced at that point, you know, but when we looked at that a bit more closely, we realised that what he had actually was some material, quite a significant amount of material that Parliament had tried to get hold of. So that's, you know, way back in 2005. So that was a start, but it was only a start. And then, you know, we took those 5,000 documents, pulled them out from the land registry, analysing the leases to actually get this first ever portrayal of what these two estates, Lancaster and Cornwall, own. And
yes,
and
I'm just going to interrupt you just to say, sorry,
yeah.
we will get to what you actually found out with, but I think we might need to just define a few terms because lots of people won't know what the Duchies of Lancaster and Cornwall actually are or do. Just explain that first. Who owns them? What do they do? And are they taxpayer funded?
Sure. So these are they're a quirk of history in many ways. These are the two private estates, Lancaster of the monarch, King Charles, and Cornwall now of Prince William. They're used largely to fund their private income.
As he's saying Lancaster and all Duchy, I'm thinking of Game of Thrones for some reason. Okay, meanwhile, a real protester in South Africa, let's see here, I'll come back out to this. Oh. Oh, okay. There's some physical things that's going on here. I will have to, obviously there will be screenshots and things like that, but wow. Okay. So who was there? Was William there too? I don't know.
Verse 22. Ningasimulo ngiphe yona, yiphe bona. Ukuze babe munye.
Oh my God.
Njengokuthina simunye. Mina kubona, nawe kumina, ukuba bapheleliswe ebunyeni. Ukuze izwe lazi ukuba wena ungithumile wabathanda njengalokhu ungithandile. uKristu inkosi, uKristu inkosi. uJesu ukhuluma ngobunye, uJesu ukhuluma ngokuthandana, uJesu.
Okay, let's go back to the other one. Okay, so let's see here. I don't know what they're saying. It's in the language. Anyway, next one. It's 2 minutes and 27 seconds. Let's listen. It's a continuation from the previous one.
To the Treasury several hundred years ago. So that you can call them the private fiefdoms, and they're now massive property companies that generate income.
But don't pay corporation tax, crucially, or capital gains tax.
No, and they have this unique tax exemption, no capital gains, no corporation tax. And obviously that was, when you put that against what the program discovered in terms of ownership and how money was made. It raises, the program thought big questions about whether that is sustainable, whether that tax exemption is sustainable.
Okay, so just give us your main findings then from your investigation for people who haven't watched it or haven't read it in the Sunday Times so far. I mean, should we start with the public bodies that reportedly pay rental income? What did you find?
Yeah, well, you start from the point that both of these organisations effectively say in terms they don't rely on taxpayers' money. And we discovered, NHS Trust paying £11 million in rent, the Ministry of Justice paying for Dartmoor Prison and paying for its upkeep, the Navy paying millions of pounds to moor its own warships, charities that the King is patron of paying millions of pounds in rent, the ferry in Liverpool paying a fee to moor to put its pier on Duchy land, wind farms paying to run cables across the foreshore. So I think it was the spread of things that was surprising, and those organisations I mentioned, of course, are publicly, in receipt of public funds.
And also, you also in the documentary raised concerns about the environmental impact of the estate's business dealings. Obviously, I'm raising that because, as I said at the beginning,
Sure.
At the moment Prince William is in South Africa talking about the Earthshot, this climate prize.
Yeah, and I guess you can categorise that into two aspects, really. Because of the Duchy's ownership of mineral rights under the ground, a close involvement with mining down in the Duchy of Cornwall and in Lancaster. Obviously, not all, but some of these, some of the mines have a controversial aspect to them in terms of their maintenance to the environment. We heard from people on the ground that said, this was a real contradiction living next to these places. And then another aspect of the film, which we actually worked on with the Mirror, was the Duchy of Cornwall's role as a landlord with private residences not being.
Okay, so let's go to the next one. Let's pause. 13.6 million views across all platforms. 1 minute and 56 seconds.
And actually renting out properties that were really in breach of of government regulations and the worst offending properties in the country in many cases.
I should probably just say on the issue of housing, a Duchy of Cornwall spokesperson said, "We're a responsible landlord committed to continuous improvement of properties. We work closely with our tenants to actively address energy efficiency of properties across our portfolio." They also said on the issue of mining that the Duchy was acting responsibly and in a sustainable way in line with the government's industrial strategy. But I wonder...
I raised some key issues when I saw the video of the Channel 4 dispatch thing. So go back to that old video. Okay, I raised some issues about with pointing bricks and energy efficient things that they could do, some minor things that could help save. But anyway, let's focus on this.
For you, Alistair, how difficult first was it to get access? I know your contributor turned up with the documents, but how difficult had it been? Because clearly MPs have tried to get hold of this information in the past and failed. How hard was it to get those documents?
Well, I think Jeff Atkinson, the producer I mentioned to, has had a long interest in this subject. I think it was probably his stamina really that got hold of these documents. But actually, you raise an interesting point, because getting the document was one thing, getting the documents was one thing. It was the analysis thereafter, which was the labour-intensive aspect. We partnered with the Sunday Times Insight team. We have my investigations team at Channel 4. It was really that examination of associated leases, associated rents that pulled out the guts of the story.
And what's been the reaction to it?
Obviously that was a laborious process, 3 or 4 months' work.
Yeah, and what has been the reaction to it since, in terms of getting other coverage?
Well, I think this is really interesting. So in terms of the programme, it's the highest watched show of last weekend on Channel 4, highest watched dispatches this year, getting over 1 million views now. Just before we came on air, I got the latest figures for interactions on social media, 13.6 million views across all platforms. Now, the film got a lot of comment, a lot of commentary amongst commentators in the paper.
All right, so let's go to the next one. And I'm seeing here Prince Harry is trending. Why was this not picked up by the Royal Beat? All right, 1 minute and 31 seconds.
So in terms of the programs
you're gonna see the same screenshot, okay? Pretty much it's the same screenshot. So instead of me keep on taking different screenshots for almost looking the same thing, so I'm just gonna take one screenshot and just let it play. All right, but let's listen. 1 minute and 31 seconds.
So in terms of the programme, it's the highest watched show of last weekend on Channel 4, highest watched dispatches this year, getting over 1 million views now. Just before we came on air, I got the latest figures for interactions on social media, 13.6 million views across all platforms. Now, the film got a lot of comment, a lot of commentary amongst commentators in the papers, but in many other aspects, it's kind of been avoided. Listening to a paper review, for example, on Sunday morning on Radio 4, this was a story that was on 2 front pages, not mentioned over 14 minutes. And as far as I'm aware,
although it did make the TV news bulletins and radio bulletins on the BBC through the day. I'm aware of that.
Sure, but what my question is, why has this not been picked up in earnest by the royal beat, by royal correspondents, especially at a time when we're hearing documentaries from William about fighting homelessness, he's overseas on his environmental campaigns. There are lots of questions from this film, and I'd just be interested to know.
Okay, there was a...
I'd like to bring in Jenny Bond, who is a broadcaster and was a former...
This was a story that was on 2 front pages, not mentioned over 14 minutes. And as far as I'm aware...
although it did make the TV news bulletins and radio bulletins on the BBC through the day. I'm aware of that.
Sure, but what my question is, why is this not...
Okay, some stuff happened. It's not me who messed up with the audio.
So
it was whatever was there. Oh, so there's more. Let's pause this. Apparently, at Jenny Bond 1, the reason why this story wasn't picked up by the royal beat was because the floods in Spain. USA election, I normally get flooded with requests for interviews, but only 5 live and GB News. Okay, excuses.
By the royal beat, by royal correspondents, especially at a time when we're hearing
Why would... well, it is important for global news, but shouldn't this be more important than the US? These are things to inform people. I tell you, the UK is masterful at psychology, okay? This is things they don't want people to know. Look at how the guy is saying, when the lady was asking, how did you get a hold of all those documents and all of that? So for years, politicians been trying to get a hand of it. They can't. So now that he got it, and instead of, talking about it, focus on other things, the squirrel kind of thing.
Documentaries from William about fighting homelessness, he's overseas on his environmental campaigns. There are lots of questions from this film, and I'd just be interested to know, royal correspondents who have that access.
Okay,
are those questions being raised?
I'd like to bring in Jenny Bond, who is a broadcaster and was a BBC royal correspondent. Hello, Jenny, thank you for coming on the programme. I wonder what you think of what Alistair Jackson's been saying, what your reaction to these findings is.
Well, I thought it was a very powerful, comprehensive piece of work, and I was shocked. I've been on this beat for 36 years, but I was really shocked by some of the findings. And I was also extremely surprised that I wasn't flooded with requests, because nobody when a royal story breaks I am, and that it wasn't big news.
And why do you think that was? Why do you think that is?
To be fair, I did broadcast immediately afterwards on 5 Live. They did come through the Stephen Nolan programme, so I did broadcast there. And GB News wanted to do it, but another story got in the way. Why not? I think probably poor timing by Channel 4 of the scheduling of this, because it's such a busy news week. We had the floods, of course, in Spain. We had the American election. We had all sorts of dramas going on. I think it just got knocked off the...
They focus on other countries' issue, except for that one that has to do with the UK issue. Okay, like I said, very good at psychology.
The beat, really.
But I guess conspiracy theorists might say...
There, Katie, sorry.
Sure.
Yeah, but surely this was a good time that William's in Africa. Documentaries are going on private time fighting homelessness.
I mean, conspiracy theorists...
You could say this is a perfect peg to discuss these issues.
Although conspiracy theorists...
News bulletins are very finite, very short, and things get knocked off the... I don't think it was the space. But I do think it should have been covered. I was very surprised. And I think a lot of what you uncovered needs further investigation and action by the royal family and action by Prince William. I thought particularly your juxtaposition of William talking about the environment and saving the planet, and then dynamite quite exploding in the Duchy of Cornwall and blowing up parts of the area of outstanding natural beauty. It was...
All right. And when it come with that regarding when they were talking on my other videos, when the Channel 4 news thing was highlighting some of those issues, and one of the things that I brought up is Okovenko River that Harry was advocating for to prevent, it's a Canadian company who I guess got license from the government of whatever the country is to explore for, natural resources and stuff like that. And Harry have advocate for it to not to happen because there's a river that's nearby where pretty much all walks of life get its source of water. So I did bring it up and I'm bringing it up again. Okay, so let's go to the next one. Okay, LOL, the royal reporters get access. Jenny, quote, I got access to Diana or what was said in a panorama I knew, meaning she don't get access to the royal now.
People can't do this because, I'd be just looking today. People have been getting interviews with Prince William today because of the Earthshot Prize. But actually, if you'd run this story or done this story yourself, you might have not been given access as a royal correspondent on that key tour and to that key interview.
That's a possibility. I think that there are two things on that. One, you're so busy on the royal beat. I really can't tell you how busy a beat it is. 1 minute, your head's being turned in one direction. Fergie's having her toe sucked by a financial advisor. William's doing this. There's a divorce. There's a disaster. The castle's on fire.
Did he say divorce? Did she just say divorce? So I know the squad mentioned it randomly in some tweets. She just spread it out. So who's divorcing? I'm moving it back slightly. All right, let's listen.
Yeah, toe sucked by a financial advisor. William's doing this. There's a divorce. There's a disaster. The castle's on fire. People are leaving the royal family. I mean, it is an incredibly busy beat, and there is not time to go through or discover 5,000 documents and then analyse them. There simply isn't.
Do they do a good enough job, though, of scrutinising the monarchy, royal correspondents, Jenny Bond?
I think in general, yes. But I think it's up to current affairs programmes to do exactly what dispatches have done because they have the time, they have the team to do it.
And as a royal correspondent, how much access did you actually get to the royals?
I got quite a lot with Charles. I've had tea with him at Highgrove a couple of times, long discussions, one-to-one. Much more with Diana, not much with
Diana's
the Queen.
Dead.
But I suppose, you could say to your earlier point, yes, I had long chats with Diana. She told me everything that was in Panorama 5 months before Panorama. But as I left, she, on each occasion that we had those discussions, said, Jenny, this is just between you and me, these four walls, isn't it? So what's a royal correspondent or any correspondent to do? I mean, you're going to burn all your bridges with your contact or your principal. So I used what she'd told me to inform my reports without saying all that Panorama was able to say.
Jenny, stick with us, but I do want to bring in, if we're talking about, the role of royal correspondents, I'm interested in royal coverage. People can't do this because...
Let me pause it. All right, is there more? Okay, let me pause for a second and see how many more. Okay, so we have 3 more. Oops, all right. They brought in that clown, Kensley, who suggests that USA media are more focused on the petty. Quote, if Meghan was walked outside, that will make news. She's trying to justify reporting. Oh, let's pause. This is moving. She's trying to justify reporting and rubbish about the Sussexes. Anyway.
Not obviously just the legacy media who are interested in all things royal. I'd like to bring in Kinsey Schofield, Los Angeles-based host of the podcast To Die For Daily, Die being spelled D-I, like Princess Diana. Kinsey, you also have your own YouTube channel, Kinsey Schofield Unfiltered, both of which cover the latest royal news, and you're a commentator on TV, Talk TV and Fox News. Just tell me, in the last few minutes that we've got, when did you first become interested in the British royal family?
Oh, I would say as a child in the South, that was something that we were all very fixated on. I did want to say in regards to the story we've been covering, while 13 million people across social media, engaged in this most recent documentary, 17 million people watched Harry and Meghan live. And I think one of the answers to your question, why is this not getting more attention, is because our attention spans are so small and we fixate on the petty. And I mean, I don't know if Jenny would agree with me, but if Meghan Markle walks outside, that's breaking news in this arena. And I wonder if, because sometimes the focus is so shallow, and especially when it comes to American media covering the royal family, if these serious stories get buried based on the clickbait.
And do you
Americans don't care about Harry and Meghan. Okay, we are the squad. We talk about it, but regular American people, they don't care.
ever, Kinsey, do you ever do negative stories? Do you cover them, negative stories about the royals? And how does that go down with your audiences?
I do. I was critical of the Prince and Princess of Wales when they released the Mother's Day photo. I thought it was
Whatever. Okay, let's see here. LOL. Notice how Kinsley doesn't mention all the negative fake stories she said about the Sussexes, but only mention the BS photo about Kitty. Okay, 1 minute and 23 seconds.
If these serious stories get buried based on the clickbait.
And do you ever, Kinsey, do negative stories? Do you cover them, negative stories about the royals? And how does that go down with your audiences?
I do. I was critical of the Prince and Princess of Wales when they released the Mother's Day photo. I thought it was a PR nightmare. And I received a lot of negative feedback at the time.
Yeah, so I don't follow her. So I don't know what was said, what she said and what other people said about her. So I don't follow her, so I don't know. But the squad have shared some screenshot of some of the things she writes about Meghan.
Polarizing topic to cover. It feels like you have to pick a side, and if you don't pick a side, you're considered the enemy. But if I do see a misstep, I do try to point it out.
And I've got to ask, we haven't got very long, but I'm always intrigued by why somebody American would get excited and interested in the royals and end up covering them. How did you carve a role for yourself in the US? I mean, you flew yourself to London on your own dime, I think, in order to get into this business. Tell me about that.
Several times, yes. My credit card has some thoughts. I was a morning news anchor in New Orleans, Louisiana, kept sneaking royal stories into our coverage and decided I'd launch a website and podcast because I realized that this was my passion. You've seen how polarizing our election's been and how beautiful that you have a monarchy that everybody can get behind.
I should probably say not everybody.
There was a time I came across something where someone who worked for the royal family was mentioned in an article or a tweet, I think it was an article, that flew to the South. And I was like, that was at the beginning when I started looking into Harry and Meghan. I was like, the South? What are they doing in the South? Of all places. But in my mind, my virgin mind about the royals, thinking of business, or they want to, go in the big cities to make sure to, do business aspect. But instead, it was the foundation of their racist kind of things to have, they were building up on having that Trump kind of presidency. So let me not go too much into that. I believe this is the last one. LOL, I should say not everyone is behind the monarchy in the UK. Slap back to Kensley the clown, who thinks we're all royalists. There's the laugh here.
You've seen how polarizing our elections.
23 seconds. Let's listen.
You've seen how polarizing our elections been and how beautiful that you have a monarchy that everybody can get behind.
I should probably say not everybody's behind the monarchy here in the UK.
But a lot of people can get behind it. I think that that's something really admirable and beautiful, and I appreciate the tradition.
Okay, well, we could keep talking, but unfortunately, I think we can't.
You've seen.
These are the minds that, how will I say that? Softening some of brain dead Americans to think that the monarchy is good, when in fact we fought to have the freedom that we have. This is sad. This is very sad. And that's the last audio. Let's see here. Penning the article about his son to attach this engagement. Okay, Majesty Magazine and Joe Little knew the king as Captain General Royal Marine will visit the Commando Training Center Royal Marine at Lempston-on-Devon on 15 November to meet Royal Marine trainees and instructors as well as families and veterans of the corps. Okay, so that's that. That was a long thread. Okay, I thought it was just one. Okay, so now we're gonna focus on Earthshot. I don't know, maybe I'll divide this into 2 parts. So Earthshot.
It is a great privilege to be with all of you today.
You know, we ask for forgiveness and please come back.
As you saw me find the love and happiness that I'd hoped for all my life. You are all in this together, and if I may speak personally, we are all in this together, because asking for help was one of the best decisions that I ever made. You will be continually amazed how life changes for the better